Enjoying their food. Looks like it. Delicious, right? Mmm, so good, so good. Please grab some food, have a seat, and get ready for our next panel here at the Future of Blockchain Exchange Stage. Exchange Stage? That's a tongue twister. Didn't think about that until now. All right, so our next panel is called Blockchain for a Greener Future. And I'm going to introduce our moderator. He is the managing director for blockchain and digital assets for FTI Consulting, Mr. Jorge Carrasco. Please come to the stage. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm going to invite my panelists to join me. Please, Rajesh, Farrukh, Nemanand, and Prakash. Thank you very much for attending this panel. So we believe that this topic is more relevant than ever. So blockchain sustainability. Now everybody's talking about sustainability. We have in 1 month the COP28 happening in the UAE. And we see how all the companies, all the governments are really looking into becoming more sustainable, reaching their zero emissions goals. All the companies, depending on what industry they are putting their net zero goals for 2030, 2035, 2040, no matter what, but everybody needs to be sustainable. So now the question is, can blockchain support all of this? Can blockchain support all of this? So for this discussion, I have today with me a very distinguished group of individuals that all of them have worked in very relevant areas of what we are discussing today, with great examples on how blockchain technology can be instrumental for reaching those net zero technologies. So I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and talk about why they are relevant for the discussion as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jorge, for having us. And it's great to be on this particular panel with the fellow industry leaders. From Tech Mahindra perspective, our blockchain journey started way back in the year 2018. And the impact that we created is we are known for the world's largest implementer of the largest multi-cloud based blockchain in India, where we implemented it primarily to manage the spam calls and spam text. And if you guys look at Forbes Blockchain 50, we are the only IT services provider, not only from India, but in the entire world to feature in that list. Not once, but thrice in a row. So in some of you who follow cricket, it's called as hat trick. And we created that particular hat trick in Forbes Blockchain 50. We've made blockchain relevant for customers, and I'm happy to talk more about it. From my personal introduction, I established that particular practice. When I started the blockchain journey in India, as part of NASSCOM, which is the National Association of Services Companies, software and services companies, I used to go door to door to explain people about what blockchain is from a IT services company perspective. At that point of time, India had less than 50 Web3 resources. Today, India has 12% of the global Web3 resources, and that's the impact we are able to cause.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Nemanand. I'm from Dubai Customs. I lead the e-commerce program for Dubai Customs on behalf of Dubai government. From Dubai Customs, we are pioneering, you can say, blockchain-based solutions to facilitate supply chain and trade. Dubai Customs, being a government authority, we, with the direction of Dubai government, to make, you can say, almost 50% of 50% of our transactions through a blockchain. That was one of the blockchain strategy of Dubai government. Under that, and along with e-commerce strategy, we embark on a journey to transform the way trade is done. So totally automate the paper-based trade into a transparent blockchain-based trade. So our journey also started somewhere in 2018, where we had done multiple assessment in terms of how blockchain can be helpful for customs. During the research, we found that WCO, WTO, and a lot of leading consultant, they supported the idea of using a blockchain to improve transparency, trust, and collaboration within the supply chain, especially within the global trade, international trade. And that's where we embark on a journey. We came out with the, you can say, detailed policies around it. We developed the blockchain-based platform, which is connecting e-commerce, logistic, free zone, as well as other government entities. And in future, we also aspire to connect this blockchain-based platform to other customs authority. So in nutshell, so that's the journey so far, and we are working with some of the leading e-commerce, logistic, and courier partners to join the platform so that the entire ecosystem can help Dubai Customs as well as Dubai government to achieve their goal in terms of e-commerce strategy, blockchain strategy, paperless strategy, and it will benefit overall entire e-commerce and supply chain ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Prakash. I'm CEO and co-founder of Enjinstarter. We are 2.5 years old, and in the last period, what we have been doing is we've been running a crowdfunding platform. We have invested into over 80 Web3 projects and helped 63 of them raise capital on our platform. And what we're doing here in Dubai, we have received our in-principle approval for our VARA license. We should be able to receive it before the end of the year. And we're launching a new brand. It's called Aya. We just revealed the brand here at Future Blockchain Summit. And this brand is purely focused on climate finance, right? We see that there's a global need for climate finance where there's a whole lot of projects in renewable energy, in sustainable energy that needs financing. And this is where we are launching a platform headquartered here in Dubai. That will be regulated for accredited investors. And it's a way for us to actually unlock green finance. And I'll be happy to share more on the panel later.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and hello everyone. I am Dr. Farrukh Habib, and my background is actually Sharia, Islamic finance, blockchain, and crypto. And now I am also keenly looking into the areas of sustainability and ESG. I have been exposed to blockchain since 2016. I have been advising projects and different projects in the Web3 arena, DeFi projects, crypto projects, centralized exchanges for Sharia compliance, and also now coming to the ESG and the green financing. Also, this is one of the area which is very close to my heart, and I have been working with some exciting projects. I would say, for example, carbon credit tokenization in a Sharia compliant manner, and the second one was wastewater treatment on blockchain, through blockchain. So this is basically the areas where I am already working in the ESG sector and sustainability. I would love to talk about more about it, about these in the more when the questions arise. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing experiences. Thank you very much, everyone. So in FTI Consulting, we are so well aware of the needs. So in this industry around sustainability, actually, the ESG practice is our biggest practice, probably at a global perspective. And from the blockchain data analysis, we are working closely to find ways where blockchain can support all these innovations. So we have two areas, basically, and I will focus my questions around that, but we have two areas. Basically, one is using blockchain directly on projects for sustainability, like tracking and tracing, the carbon footprints, the sustainable initiatives, the transparent reporting of the companies for the different initiatives that they call as sustainable. And with innovations such as zero knowledge proof, people can demonstrate these sustainable initiatives without revealing the data and keeping that data privacy. But we must remember as well the indirect impact that using blockchain in many projects has also for the sustainable efforts, which, for example, if we use blockchain for tracking plastic pollution, or if we use blockchain to streamline water management, that is improving that carbon footprint. I think that is related with some of the projects that we have here. So my first question is, what are the main challenges that companies and businesses are facing to meet their net zero goals? And how do you think that blockchain can help them? So I would like to address this question first to Prakash, because you are evaluating companies that are facing those issues, right?
Sure. I think, where we start these conversations, net zero is always a promise that's been made, but, it becomes an aftersight. And a lot of companies actually think that it's going to be expensive and it's not going to contribute to their revenue. But this is where we've been working with a whole lot of partners using AI, using certain satellite technologies to actually show that a lot of this can actually be done now in a cost-effective way, and we can actually help the businesses to reduce costs, to cut costs, and eventually even help them increase their revenue, right? Because their business becomes a lot more optimized, and that's one of the key things that we've been doing. I think coming from Singapore, I think what we're seeing now is because of carbon tax happening in 2025, and it's become inevitable that it's going to happen. Now we're actually starting to see a bit more vibrancy in the space. People are actually looking for solutions. And I guess, when there's a stick, sometimes, there is also some motivation, especially for larger corporates. And the last thing that we are seeing is that we saw companies that actually export to the EU, and because they're not, ESG certified, or they are actually going to be taxed heavily. And this is where now a lot of them are actually looking at acquiring carbon credits, or doing other aspects so that their ESG rating comes in. So it's whether you're exporting or whether you're raising money from EU-based investors, being ESG positive is actually very helpful.
Very insightful, thank you. Dr. Farrukh, I think you have some examples of how blockchain can have supported some of these initiatives, right?
Yeah, definitely, because I just would like to add that Prakash is right about that so many companies, they think that like if we are ESG and sustainability compatible, then it's a cost, an extra cost to them. But I think that with the use of blockchain technology, we can basically address so many pain points. For example, data traceability and integration can be done through blockchain. So just to give you an example, when sustainability objectives and goals were introduced in Malaysia, so public listed companies, they were supposed to also report their ESG efforts and also the emission efforts, right? But what happened is, like many big companies, when they reported, they were not able to give the proof of this data, that what is the quality of data, how did you get it? So that was the problem, and so many companies were fined, by the way, by Bursa Malaysia and other authorities as well, because they were failed to prove that, okay, how they basically collected that data, and there was no proof and no traceability. So I think that blockchain can actually solve this problem. And number two, I would say like the whole supply chain traceability is also very important, because it's not only about the company itself that they are producing those reports and sharing the data with the stakeholders, but also they have to say that like the vendors, their suppliers, they are also adhering to the standards. So I think that blockchain is something which we can do a lot, because also I have seen from my background in the Islamic finance, for example. So like a lot of complexities are there, and traceability is much more needed. So I think that when blockchain can solve these problems through automation, data points can be integrated and shared with the relevant authorities, then definitely we can also use them here.
Thank you, thank you. So Anand, you are an old friend. You've been implementing blockchain and vouching for blockchain for a very long time. And you were talking before about what is the volume of trade that Dubai handles, and you have applied blockchain in some of the critical processes around that trade. So how those blockchain implementations have contributed or are contributing to reducing the carbon emissions?
Yeah. So when we look at Dubai Customs role, of course, it's all about supply chain. It's all about facilitating trade. When we look at the global international trade, around 20 to 30% of, you can say, wastage in terms of excessive documentation, yeah, all the sustainability related issues are contributed by supply chain. So 20 to 30% is a huge number. When we look at Dubai, yeah, UAE is the 11th largest exporter as per 2022. It means that the huge volume of trade is happening through UAE. Now, if you look at the growth, it is almost a 41% growth that UAE has achieved. Now, with this volume, trade documentation is the critical factor, because every import or export, any smallest of goods that you order through e-commerce website, it goes through import-export cycle, and it exchange hands between multiple partners within the e-commerce, yeah, any trade ecosystem. Logistic companies, courier companies, last mile delivery, broker, importer, shipper. You know, there are tons and tons of participants. And everyone, land up printing the document, exchanging the document, and so on. Now imagine if these partners within the ecosystem gets connected through a blockchain-based platform, and you have one true copy of each document. Like one of the simplest document is an invoice. So if there is a true copy of invoice, there is no need of printing this invoice and taking it to the different partners and proving this is my invoice. So what Dubai Custom through our project has done is we are focusing on developing an ecosystem. Trade is all about ecosystem. So we developed this blockchain-based platform where logistic companies, e-commerce companies, free zone, as well as other government authorities, they are connecting to that, and all this exchange of documentation which is required for import and export, they become totally paperless. So you have trust, transparency, you have a collaboration, and definitely it will reduce that tons and tons of documentation, indirectly benefiting the sustainability.
And it's a perfect example of blockchain as a team sport, right? Because it connects so many stakeholders of the value chain. So I would like to ask now Rajesh, because you've been working on so many projects all across the world. So some examples of projects where blockchain has support on that sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. Building on what Nemanand had mentioned, about 2 years ago during the peak of pandemic, we demonstrated the use case of blockchain, which is very relevant from a cross-border trade and also from a perspective of a multi-party interactions. We imported shipment of mangoes from Brazil. They got exported to the port of Rotterdam. They got deboarded from the port of Rotterdam and then put onto a road carrier and finally delivered to a merchant in Liverpool in London. Now, if you see from a conventional method, at every point of entry and a point of exit, they would have been stopped for inspection by the customs duty people, right? Because the tariffs have to be levied or the tariffs have to be checked. And people also have to validate whether it is a shipment of mangoes or it is some other shipment that is moving across the borders. But in this case, it wasn't stopped even at one point of entry or one point of exit. It was delivered to the final destination as you would drive on a Sheikh Zayed road where the salik gets deducted automatically. In this case, the custom duties were imposed automatically and it was not stopped even for inspection at one point of time. It is because the documentation that is involved, we were having a sideline chat before this particular session with Nemanand, and most of the fragmentation in the processes happens because the documents do not move seamlessly like the goods move seamlessly in a supply chain. So these particular documents are coming from multi-people. So who are those people? Banks from an LC perspective, 3PL, third-party logistic provider or a fourth-party logistic provider from the documents perspective, ocean carrier bill of lading, which comes from an ocean carrier perspective, then also from the custom people, right? Custom people in Brazil, custom people in Netherlands, and custom people in UK. And there's a lot of to and fro that happens from documentation perspective. So what we essentially created is what we call as digital threading. The thread of the documents from the source of origin to the source of destination get created, and the information gets added to that digital thread so that people, regardless of where they are based, and in pandemic, nobody went to office. And if you look at the customs department, you have many people who do form filing. And if these form filers do not go to the port or to their office, the goods get stranded. So now, by virtue of this digital threading, the form filers were no more required to go to their office. They were able to validate it remotely, and the entire consignment was delivered in a frictionless manner. And what is the sustainability angle here? If you see, a lot of paper gets exchanged. And where do the paper come from? They come from the trees.
The trees, yeah.
Right? So you're now cutting down the number of trees that need to be chopped to make the paper because there is no more dependency on the paper. And the goods also move in a much faster way. And the process inefficiencies which are there because the documents do not move seamlessly, you're going to spend a lot of time, you're going to spend a lot of fuel, all that is going to be saved, and it ultimately adds back to the sustainability angle.
I think we don't spend enough time listing all the sustainable benefits that all these innovations have, because there we are saving cutting trees, paperless, we are saving fuel, people don't have to go to places to get all these things done. So I think we should put much more effort in outlining these things. So I would like to bring up a topic that is very relevant for blockchain and sustainability, which is token credits, tokenization of carbon credits. So I would like to address this question to Prakash. So do you think that tokenization of carbon credits is a real thing? Is something that we are just like trying to accommodate blockchain into the sustainability? Is something that you see working across? And do you see that this will become a norm, that we will have a carbon marketplace where really people are exchanging all these things?
Sure. Thanks for the question. So if you look at the carbon market space, it has been around for a long time, but it has a lot of inherent problems, right? The same carbon assets gets traded to multiple parties, and this is where the blockchain comes in to solve a key traceability in terms of provenance, and the industry is still very new. And on the other end, if you look at the carbon registries, you look at the biggest names like Vera and Gold Standard, it's still a very analog process, right? You still need to fill out forms, you send it out to validators, and the entire process takes a very, very long time. And this is where we feel blockchain as a base and being able to kind of track this on a longer term is where an entire new market is going to be formed. But definitely we'll need new technologies. We need digital MRV solutions. We need digital carbon registries to actually come and participate. But this is where we are starting to see countries actually start to lead the way, especially if they are aligned with the Paris Agreement and Article 6. So there's certain standards that need to be set, but the blockchain provides that baseline, and that's where Web3 is going to come. And for now, the corporates are actually going to be participating actively. But eventually, even the individuals like us, when we take a flight, we will want to be able to offset our carbon footprint. And when there's an established marketplace that's backed by blockchain, we strongly believe that it's going to be widely adopted.
And by consuming like green services. We can, like, for example, get tokens that we can even dedicate to sustainable practices. So I would like to hear from Dr. Farrukh about these carbon credits and the relationship with how Islamic finance and Sharia law looks at these things.
You know, yeah, this is a very exciting area for me because what happened is there were some initiatives to see from the Islamic angle that can we basically accept carbon credit as an asset class? Can we basically trade them? Can we produce them? Back in 2013 and 14 here in the UAE. But what happened is like it was too complex from the Sharia angle, so it didn't fly actually. So, but then what happened is that a company came, and then we are the first one, by the way, last year. What we did is like we did a lot of research on it, and then we found that like there are some Sharia compliant structures like Islamic finance structures we can use for carbon credits and bring those into also tokenization. So what was the layer is there are two layers on carbon credit. One is Sharia compliance, the other one was tokenization. And Prakash was spot on about that. The main problem of carbon credit market is the problem of double spending. That's it. I mean, in one word, it's double spending. Although, like, these are two words.
And,
But
and
anyways,
greenwashing.
But the thing is, blockchain can solve this very problem of double spending. So, and then what happened is like we found that there are some interesting Sharia structures where we can use those not only for involuntary and obligatory carbon credit market, but also voluntary carbon credit market. So that is something like we issued a Sharia certificate last year, and I think that now we will be seeing more and more markets, I mean like more and more liquidity coming in from the Islamic finance side, and also this asset class now is open for the Islamic banks, for example. So now they have been looking for Sharia compliant asset classes for a long time. So now I think that crypto, carbon credits, they bring a lot of Sharia compliant assets to them.
Thank you, thank you. So time flies. So we consumed the time for the panel. So as closing remarks, I think we've seen some of the challenges and some of the practices that companies are using blockchain to contribute to the sustainable goals. So we will see more examples. We will see the support from the ecosystem, from accelerators to support companies working in the space, the support from large institutions to implement blockchain to cut many of the unsustainable practices, and some providers like the other members of the panel that are supporting the whole ecosystem. So thank you very much for this panel, and thank you very much all the attendees for listening to us. Thank you.